You know what? It wasn't the gene that I could do it. It was the gene that I'm not going to lose. So it wasn't I could do it. It was I'm not going to not do it.
Hmm.
And that's and it hasn't stopped, which is very sad, but probably the best thing. That's what you know what I mean? It's don't tell me what I can't do.
Welcome to Your Next Big Project is You, a podcast based around the theme of time. Time to be able to press pause on life. Time to reevaluate what's important. Time to reminisce about where you've come from, what you've learned, and what you've accomplished. Time to revisit your goals, dreams, and vision. And time to remember the people in your life. That's it, my friends. If you've got time, fasten your seatbelt and listen in as we discuss opportunities for the next 5 to 25 years of your life. And remember, your next big project is you. Welcome to our podcast. Your next big project is you. And what a special guest I have today. I feel like I talked to Cindy Kessler Miller from Silver Creek, New York, for hours. Cindy, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you, Leo. It's so nice to be here.
Yeah, gosh, it's so nice to talk to you today. When I think of you as this a devoted wife, amazing mother, grandmother now. But I also think and smile of the song "Don't Stop Believin" by Journey. I don't know if you know that song or the lyrics or whatever. I have no voice to sing to you today, Cindy, but the lyrics start off, just a small town girl living in a lonely world. But I don't think your world was ever lonely. I just think you were challenged in the greatness that's come out of you in the last few decades is just taken to a whole new level. So I'm so happy that you're here to join us and to talk about this amazing journey. Tell us a little bit about it to get started today.
Well, it's funny that again, I call myself Cindy from Silver Creek. And Silver Creek, I think, only has about 1,700 people now. It used to have more, but it's a little town 30 miles south of Buffalo. Um, my parents played golf. They used to drag me to the club, and the pool was my babysitter until I kind of got fat in eighth grade. And one of your clients and his brother started to call me 10-ton Tessie. And I quickly found an aversion to swimming. And my only other choice was the golf course because I, was trapped like a rat with no cheese. And I started to play golf, and my dad got me lessons. And the pro said, she could be kind of good at this. And um, my mom and her friends took me to an LPGA tour event when I was 17. And I saw this girl, Laura Baugh, who was a year older than me, on the driving range at this LPGA tour event at Grand Island. It was the Mark Equity Golf Classic. And I saw this huge golf bag and these beautiful clothes and these shiny brand new shoes like Dorothy, the Wizard of Oz. And I immediately said, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play on the LPGA tour and I want to beat her. So I came home and the part of the story that I didn't tell you was mom and dad were both alcoholics. And
Wow.
dad used to frequently beat mom up, so much so that my turn was to call the cops on dad was when I was in fourth grade. So living in this house, it was the house of horrors. And I became the this I don't want to say the scapegoat, but the hey, I was the shiny object. Look at me. My brother and sister were way older than me, and they left as soon as they could leave. So I was the youngest child. We had this huge bar. We lived on Alfred Heights. My dad was an entrepreneur and had this huge like bar, like a real bar, right? The game room,
Yeah.
So I would say to dad, hey, look at me, let's talk. And he always wanted to talk about business. So I think I became an influencer at a young age, talking to dad about business, and not sure why, but he would always tell me I could do anything I wanted to do in life, which was cool. But part of me wanted to escape, and part of me wanted to um, go after a dream. So there's two things that motivate you: wanting to stop pain and seeking reward. And I wanted to graduate from high school a year early because I was trying to escape the house and then, go after a dream. So I didn't know if there were schools that had golf scholarships or even had golf teams. So dad said, well, you're going to graduate from high school a year early because you wanted to get out of here. You're going to go to Fredonia. You got to find a school, if there are any schools that have college golf teams. So I said, okay, fine. I wrote to the Ben Hogan Golf Club Company because I played their golf clubs, and I wrote to Golf Digest magazines, and I asked them if they knew of any colleges that had golf teams. And they actually wrote back to me, and they had a list. And the school that stood out was the University of Miami, which, you're from Buffalo. That would stand out to you too. And they actually wrote back and they said, the worst girl on our golf team has a 4 handicap. Your handicap's 14. You're not good enough to come here. You're, welcome to come try out, but you'll probably never play on the team. And dad said, well, you got 1 year to earn a scholarship. Go ahead and go try. So I never visited the school. The pictures in the brochure were good enough for me. We had a family friend who was a captain for Eastern Airlines. They had a summer cottage at Hanford Bay, which is, a summer thing down by the lake. And he dropped me off at my dorm with my suitcase and my golf clubs. And I sat on the bed and cried for about 20 minutes. And then I got up and I hit balls. And then I graduated 4 years later, the number 1 player on the team. And we won back-to-back national championships my junior and senior year.
Wow.
So that's how it all started.
It's amazing, Cindy, that even for people that don't know Western New York, when you talk about Fredonia, we're talking about a very nice state school, but just a few miles from your house. I'm not talking about a couple thousand miles from beautiful Buffalo to say I'm going down to the University of Miami and I'm going to figure this stuff out. And then what you came out of in terms of that upbringing, in terms of alcoholic parents and the abuse and the things that you saw that never carried in your life, knowing you've been such an overachiever your whole life, of telling skeptics that, that's what you think, so be it, but let me show you that I can do this. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But when was the moment? So you're watching Laura Ball, you go to the University of Miami, 14 handicap, turns into the number 1 player on the team, 2 back-to-back NCAA championships. When did you know inside, I could do this? And there's skeptics and that mantra that surrounded your life, you're not good enough. When did you know eventually you were good enough? What was the drive? Where's that come from, that driving you? Because it doesn't sound like you got it from your parents, other than the fact that he was an entrepreneur. Where was that gene in you?
You know what? It wasn't the gene that I could do it. It was the gene that I'm not going to lose. So it wasn't I could do it. It was I'm not going to not do it. And that's and it hasn't stopped, which is very sad, but probably the best thing. That's what, you know what I mean? It's don't tell me what I can't do. So you have to be careful with people or the children you raise. Like, I don't need a big house, but don't try to take my house or I'll kill you. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Again, I'm unemployable. People are like, oh, don't you want to be the head pro at this fancy country club? I'm like, are you kidding me? That would be jail to me. Not only do I not want the job, I'd be fired after 10 minutes because I would say something to Mrs. Smith that would totally tick her off and she'd tell her husband I'd be fired. So again, everybody needs to know who they are, what motivates them to action, and what would make them happy. You follow?
Well, I totally follow. And knowing you, it's not just what you'd say to Mrs. Smith, it's what you'd also say to Mr. Smith. So again,
what's funny is they all come over to me at the Dumpy Public Driving Range to take lessons.
Yeah, exactly. but it's like you're this energizer bunny that just keeps going and keeps creating and keeps telling people when they don't think you could do something, like, get out of my way. I'll show you that I can do it.
Well, and the other thing is I look them in the eye and say, you can do this too.
Yeah.
Don't tell me what you can't do. I'm going to show you how you can. And that's what really, it's funny because I do all these assessments with people and it saved our marriage. I'm certified in DISC and motivation and judgment and stuff. And we do a lot of corporate training. And when I took the assessment the first time, my motivation for helping people was the bottom. And I was like, are you kidding me? I help people every day. So I was horrified that my altruistic, which is helping people, was the lowest motivator. And I'm like, oh my God, don't tell anybody this is really low. And they said, no. What this means is you only want to help people who want to help themselves. I'm like, oh, which is why I want to be at the public driving range, because you have to walk in. You have a problem that you want me to solve.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm in. So I don't want to teach school at a public school because you don't have a choice. You have to come see me, which is why I don't want to help some kid that goes, yeah, what do you want, lady? Because I want to punch them in the face, right? So again, I put it this way. When I tell people, we do sessions with them, I say, okay, let's say you have $10,000 you have to give away. There's a guy standing on a street corner that has decent clothes and he's begging for money. Or there's someone in Houston who just got their house, taken away by a hurricane. Who are you giving the money to? I'm giving the money to the hurricane victim, right? Because they didn't cause that to happen.
Right.
So exactly. It doesn't mean I don't want to help people. I want to help people who can't help, didn't choose to make that happen or themselves.
Well, there's such a clear focus in your mind, which helps you to look somebody else eyeball to eyeball and speak from your heart, your soul. There's so much authenticity. When people ask me about you, that's the one thing I would say is just, how authentic you are, how real you are. There's just no BS from talking to you. And by my standards, where you might be teaching at the range or seeing you on TV and the big break or traveling the country, talking to C-suite executives and how to figure out how to, take the golf course into the boardroom type of stuff. You're way more than a golf professional. You've become this amazing entrepreneur. I'm so proud to know you as a friend of yours the last couple of decades plus. And your website talks about your work from improving performance literally to unlocking potential. And so when we see your offerings from instruction, from coaching to junior golf, to the boot camps you're now offering, to online courses, does one of these areas touch your heart and soul more than the other?
You know what? I really like helping people learn to believe in themselves. Whether it's, we'll talk about Chelsea going to stage 2 of qualifying school, for the LPGA tour that we've taught her for 16 years. And she just shot, 7 under par. And I said, what happened to you? This was your 3rd time. I finally believe in me.
Wow.
Okay. And after she shot, a few under par the first round, don't tell me where I stand. I don't want to know. I'm just making birdies. Okay. Well, that's a little bit different than I'm scared to death, So again, it's a growing thing. To this chief operating officer of AIG, who sponsored the women's AIG British Open, saying, you have to help my women who have to play in the Pro-Am, who are scared to death. And this other woman has to hand out the trophy on Sunday on NBC Sports, who's scared to death. Can we do a private boot camp in Orlando? Absolutely. So she's just as scared as Chelsea going to stage 2. Again, everybody has that same feeling of, I don't believe in me and I don't know what I'm doing. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's looking them in the eye saying, we're going to focus on the process, not the end result. I know you want to hit this driver right down the middle of the fairway, but you have to know what you're doing with the club first. So it's helping people learn to believe in themselves and give them a process to be able to do that. Or even helping people learn how to deal with jerks at work. You know, depending on your personality style, you know, the person that drives me crazy that comes in for a lesson is like, Cindy, why'd the ball go over there? After 12 times of me telling him why that happened. So I have to adapt my behavior. You know, I want to punch him in the face, but I can't do that. So I have to take a deep breath and say, now let's think about that. Where did the ball go? And what did you just do with the club that helped that happen? You know, so I have to lower my voice and talk slower when I want to go, I just told you what that, you know, but you can't do that.
Cindy, that sounds like me like 20 years ago taking a lesson from you. Did you come close to smacking me around or what?
I'm not saying a word.
You know what's funny? It's not funny, but when these folks are calling you, and whether it's Chelsea or this other AIG executive and stuff, I mean, the real value is you're helping people to reach new levels of their own capabilities, their own. You're humanizing things in a way to help people to achieve more, whether it's to try to get on the tour, whether it's to build their confidence, to hold their own with other people around them. There's an end game in terms of the real value that you do provide to people and stuff. And I just remember traveling with you and Alan to a couple of events, years ago, but it was interesting, me do my thing and you and Alan show up, your husband, who's phenomenal story in his own right, to really assist people. And one of the things you developed was this, for the back nine to the boardroom, and seeing you with executives trying to not just learn how to, chip or pitch or get out of the sand or to figure out why that didn't go right or left, but to help them more of taking the game of golf into the boardroom. Tell us more how that came to be and what you're really focusing on there.
So I'll give you an example. We have 3 children. I love them all. Our daughter Kelly is the senior production coordinator for Golf Pass on NBC, right? But Jamie is a +3 handicap. So Jamie took 8 guys on a private jet to play Sabonic the other day. Something fell through in New York City. So he picks up the phone. He calls this guy, can we get out to Fisher's Island? Half the guys on the plane didn't even know what Fisher's Island was. They sent a boat out, picked them up. They went out to Fisher's Island. These guys are like, I never even knew this place existed. Well, that's because he knows how to play business golf, right? So what is business golf? You use golf as a business tool, right? So there's so many people, up and coming business associates. So whether you're an accountant, a service-based business, an attorney, banker, insurance people, financial advisors, all these people, they need to use the game of golf as a business tool. So we'll talk about Jane Blealock. She's got the PGA Women's Golf Clinics, right? Fidelity Investments is a sponsor, MetLife, AIG, all these people. So there's a lot of law firms in town that use me to use the game. They purchase the back nine from the back nine to the boardroom.
Yeah.
So we teach them how to use the game of golf as a business tool. I'll give you an example. The Legends Tour has an event every year, the BJ's Charity Classic. So they use 4 golf courses in Boston at Pine Hills. We go out there, General Mills, this guy, and I'm not going to give you any names, but this guy comes out. He says, Cindy, I've got you again this year. I said, oh my gosh, I'm so glad. Did you request me? Oh yeah, we had a great time last year. So he's a little bit of a male chauvinist, you know what? And he's got 2 girls from General Mills, right? He's General Mills. He's got the senior marketing person from BJ's, who's a woman on our team. So it's him, 3 women, 2 of women from General Mills, and the senior marketing person from BJ's, and me. So the person from BJ's doesn't play much. Her husband's a good player. She lives in Boston. She's topping the ball straight down the fairway. He goes, great shot. And I want to say to him, will you shut up? She's just topping this ball down the fairway. Now he's topping the ball and he's like, oh my God, right? And I'm pounding it, killing it, right? He goes, wow, Cindy, you're a lot better this year. And I want to say, maybe it's because you really need me. So I did say that, right? Because I'm kind of snidely saying, I want to freaking kill you right now.
No, I
So,
know there's something else you said under your breath.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
know that.
So anyway, long story short, we finished a few under par, which was totally amazing because they were absolutely terrible. So this is the kind of guy that really needs this course because he has no idea what a jerk he's making out of himself on the golf course.
Yeah.
But these girls don't have any idea because they're new to playing. And the two girls from General Mills are having a ball because they're just glad they don't have to work today, right? And the woman from BJ's is clueless. And I want to say to them, I would never, ever do business with this guy. And he's nonstop talking to this poor girl from BJ's because he's riding in the cart with her and he's like, I'm like, oh my God. So that's the kind of thing that I do is I help people learn how to shut up, right? I've made an online course so that, again, I had an attorney yesterday that came in for a lesson, a young girl. And I said, I'm just going to give you the course. I just granted her access to it. So anybody that does this with us for a full day, I get them access to the course. So that what's the etiquette? What's the glossary? Where do I stand? What do I do? What do all the clubs mean? Because people don't know this. How would they learn that? And you don't learn that in a normal golf lesson. So,
yeah. And I believe just so much of just you said the etiquette, just knowing where to park a cart, knowing how to leave a green, knowing how to repair a divot, knowing how to not say, what to say or not to say when someone tops the ball, or how to keep play moving or something, just all the things you probably talked about. So,
right. And where to stand.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you know what? I remember all of your fans and students when you became a member of the Ladies Big Break. We were all cheering you on, all proud to say, "Yeah, we know Cindy. I've taken a lesson from her. Look at her; she's going to be on TV. She's on this series." And I know as part of your stardom, you've been enshrined. There's so many accomplishments and achievements. I urge people to go on the Cindy Miller Golf website. But being a part of the Greater Buffalo Hall of Fame, that's why I'm saying there's so many people that knew this small town girl and what she's become. Now she's at the big break, dealing with TVs and younger ladies. You're the kind of the grandmother, the big, the older women on the show. Tell us more about that and what inspired you to be part of this and to take that grandmotherly type of feeling with these younger ladies that were trying to be the Chelseas of the world.
So why did I apply for the big break? Because I was sitting in my sweatshop in Silver Creek. So I had an embroidery store and I used to make shirts for Augusta National. And I was sewing shirts and teaching lessons and working too hard and sitting there reading the newspaper one day. And I saw that there was a Legends Tour, when you read the newspaper and you were looking at the scores. And I saw that Nancy Lopez shot 85 one day and she got paid $3,000. And I was like, well, I could shoot 85 and I want to get paid $3,000. So I picked up the phone, I called the Legends Tour and they go, well, where do you sit on the career money list? And I was like, oh, I'm kind of way down there. And they said, well, you have to qualify. I go, okay, what do I have to do to qualify? Well, you got to go to the course and you got to shoot a low score and make it. Well, how many people qualify? One. I said, okay. So I asked the fam, I go, do you guys care if I start swinging and practicing? No, go ahead and do it, because I didn't care what they thought anyway. I was going to do it, right? So I start practicing. I start playing on the mini tour, right? And I would walk up to the tee and they were like, was your daughter playing? I'm like, no, I'm playing, right? So I get this email from the Golf Channel and they say, there's going to be this big break for ladies only. And the little voice said, you should apply for this show. And then I'm thinking, well, this is stupid. I don't want an exemption in the LPGA Tour. I'm too old. I've already played on the LPGA Tour. And the little voice said, well, excuse me, but we both know that you should learn how not to choke because you want to win a tournament on the Legends Tour. Well, that's true. And we both know that if you were tied for the lead, having to hit a shot over water with thousands of people watching you on the 18th hole, you'd puke. Okay, good point. So you should apply to be on the show. Okay. So I did. And then I forgot that I did. So it was like 2 months later, and I get a call from the Golf Channel and said, hey, you applied to be on the show. Do you want to come and audition? I'm like, well, I don't know. When is it? And they may have even sent me an email and I never saw it. Right. So they told me when it was, and I said, okay, I'll come. So I did this audition. They said, well, hit this 9 iron, hit this, hit this, hit this. And they go, well, you're pretty good. What do you shoot? And I was like, wow, this is really odd. I go, you know what's funny? As I just won the LPGA National Teaching Championship, and I'm the oldest person that's ever done that. I shot 70, 68, 72. And I'm thinking to myself, I could shoot 85 just as fast as the next person, but I didn't, right? And they said, well, if they're sitting here with a bunch of producers and we're watching this interview, why should we pick you? And I felt like they just slapped me in the face. And I go, why should you pick me? I'll tell you why you should pick me. I got news for you. I'm 48 years old. There's not a whole lot of 48-year-old women watching your TV station. I got news for you. I might be a miracle story. In fact, I could be the light of the whole thing. And then I said, oh, that was really stupid. You just told them off, right? That's what I said to myself. So I left. And then I get a phone call. We want you to be on the show. Now we need, and I'm like, okay. So then I asked the fam, because we got a bad story because Alan and all this stuff with the alcoholism and all that. And I go, you guys care if I do this? They go, no, go ahead. You're an idiot, right? Go ahead, be on the show.
Doesn't matter what we tell you anyways, you're going to do it, right?
Exactly. So I went and I did it. And I thought, I was really Miss Cool, right? And Jamie's like, don't do this show. That's stupid. He's Mr. The Ohio State at the time. And he's afraid I'm going to make him look stupid, and myself and him. So I was real cool until I got there. And then, they keep you in suspense. You don't know what you're going to have to do. And then they pull you out and they go, okay, now you have to hit the shot. And there's 40 cameras in your face and there's 70 crew members. And then you're like, oh, Jesus. And you got clenched butt cheeks, right? Mm-hmm. And I did really good until we had long drive. And then I was screwed because, then I knew I wasn't going to win. So I came in third on the show. And the first tournament back after this on the Legends Tour, I get an exemption. Now I had to qualify for every Legends Tour event till then. Then I get an exemption because everybody knew who Mama Miller was, right? Because I was the old fart of the big break. And so the first round, of course, we had to tee off first because those who suck tee off first, right? And I shot 71 the first round. And my buddy who I played with first shot 68. So the night before the last round, there was this big meeting. We have a players meeting, right? And all the big shots are sitting there. And Carner and Whitworth, and she was still alive at the time. And I raised my hand at this meeting. And I go, are we ever going to make it so that so many people on the money list get exempt for the next year? And this girl stands up and she goes, well, Cindy, our sponsors want famous people to play in our tournament. And Blaylock stands up and she goes, what the hell are you talking about? She's more famous than you are now that she was on that TV show.
Really?
And I went home that night and I was so ticked off. I got up the next morning and I was like third from the last group. And the whole round, I was just so ticked off. I was like, I don't care who you guys are. I'm going to finish in the top 10 because I'm going to be exempt for the next tournament. So I'm playing with someone who started to mess with me. We're on the fourth hole and she's away and I got a putt for birdie and she's got a putt for par. She goes, I think you should putt first because I'm going to be standing kind of by your ball. And Alan goes, no, that's all right. You go first. And Alan never talks. You know that, right?
Yeah.
And she goes, no, I think you should putt first. And Alan goes, no, you go. And I had always had to qualify for this event. It was in Des Moines, Iowa. And I said, no, I can go. Because I had this guy, Jim Mitchell, who was like my little savior, always teach me how the greens would break. Alan goes, no, she can go. I go, I'm going to putt. And I make the putt for birdie. And he says, I slammed it in the hole, right? She misses the putt for par. So I go to the next hole and I'm like, now I'm really ticked off. She's messing with me. They don't like me. I'm going to play my butt off. So I birdied the 17th hole. I walked to the 18th tee, tied for the lead, having to hit a shot over water on the 18th hole. Just that same scenario that a year before when I got that email happened. I knocked it on the green. I two putted for par. I was tied for the lead. Everybody went crazy because now they knew who I was, right? Because I was just on that show for 10, 12 weeks. And so my buddy that was leading, she ended up birdieing the hole and I came in second, but I made $33,500. I finished second on the money list that year. And I proved to myself that the dream I had when I was 17 years old to be a star on the LPGA tour wasn't a nightmare that was going to haunt me for the rest of my life. So that was redemption. So then did I learn that I was good enough? That's when I learned I was good enough. So it took me 48 years. 48 years.
Don't mess with Mama Miller. Don't mess with Mama Miller.
No.
Don't pinch her. Don't get her riled up. Don't tell her she can't do it. Don't tell her she's not good enough. Beware. Don't wake this lady up. Hey, so I'm just a couple more questions here. You've seen this in all these folks you're working with, and this one creation that I've seen you talk about, and I believe it arouses curiosity. Wouldn't it be nice to have it? And I'm going to accentuate the it word. Wouldn't it be nice to have it? You developed a concept around what's in it, and you've developed an it box, things that are in it. Tell us about it, please.
So, what is in it? So it is your potential, your passion. Probably.
Yeah, hold it up closer. A little blurry with the background there. Okay, just a little bit closer. Yeah. Thank you.
Your purpose in life. So there's 3 things in the box. The first thing in the box is a nail. What's the nail? There's a traveling salesman driving down the road, Chautauqua County, selling seed to the Agway plant. He gets lost. He's in grape country. He sees a driveway, a farm, he pulls down the driveway. He sees a farmer sitting on the porch in a rocking chair, smoking a pipe. Laying next to him is a black lab. So he asked the farmer for directions. He said, I made a wrong turn. Can you help me get to the Agway plant? Sure. He gives him directions. He hears the dog and he thinks the dog is growling, but he's not. He's whining. He's like, oh, oh. He gets ready to leave. And the dog does it again. He goes, oh, forgive me, but I have to ask you, what's the matter with your dog? He says, oh, nothing. He's just laying on a nail. He said, laying on a nail? He says, why doesn't he get up? He said, because it doesn't hurt bad enough. So are you laying on a nail? Is it poking you? Should you get up? Or do you like laying on a nail? So again, people are motivated by either stopping pain or seeking reward. So are you shanking it? Are you slicing your driver? Are you miserable at your job? Do you go to work every day miserable? Does that guy bug you to death? How's your marriage? You good? Or you're just surviving? Are you laying on a nail? Should you get up? Or do you want to break 80? You want to break 100? So what motivates you? Okay. So when we do these assessments, we figure out what motivates you to action. So I challenge people to get off the nail. The second thing in the box is a mirror. So once you get off the nail, you got to say, okay, well, who am I? Well, I happen to be a competitive control freak lunatic. And so we have to look in the mirror and say, well, okay, Cindy, you're a competitive control freak lunatic. Sometimes you have to adapt your behavior and you have to be a little nicer. So when someone walks up to my lesson tee, I watch how they walk up. If they're really shy and quiet, then I have to adapt my behavior. I have to act a little nicer, which is hard for me to do that. And so if that person was with me all day long, when I go home that night, I'm going to be exhausted because I have to talk softer. I have to be a little nicer. I have to talk slower. You know what I mean? I could not adapt my behavior and do a job all day long, every day, 365 days a year. So again, you have to know who you are, right? So that's the second thing in the box. The third thing in the box is a seed. So once you know why you're getting off the nail or what you're seeking, I want to break 100, 90, 80, or I want to be an attorney and I am suited for this. What kind of law do you want to do, right? You want to be a fighter, whatever you want to do. Then you have to plant a seed. What's that mean? So part of our story, which we didn't talk about, but Alan and I were having issues and I wanted to kill Alan. And so, of course, it's always Alan's fault. It's never my fault, right? And so I was going to counseling, which most counselors are idiots, but I found one that slammed me right in the face. So I was crying and whining one day about Alan, and I didn't have any Kleenex. So the tears were going down my face and the boogers were coming in my mouth, and I didn't have any Kleenex. And the guy gets up, and I happen to be a Christian, and even though I swear like a truck driver, and the guy goes in the bathroom and he gives me a wad of Kleenex, and he comes back out and he says, Cindy, the Lord told me to tell you something. I said, oh, really? Huh, you have pull? And he said, yes. And he goes, he told me to tell you that he's planted a seed in your life. Oh, really? And he told me to tell you to quit digging it up to see if it's growing. He told me to tell you to leave it in the dirt, to water it, to put it in the sunlight and let it grow. And if you do, you can't believe how good this is going to end up.
Oh.
And that's when I shut up and I stopped whining and I let it grow. And now we have a nonprofit where we help people pursue their it. And we're married, and that was 25 years ago. And everything's way better.
Amazing.
So I help people plant their seeds and tell them to stop digging it up to see if it's growing.
That's the difference you're making in people's lives. It truly is. And you impact people in so many ways, but your creative ability. When I think, how you go to a meeting, you got a name badge on, Leo Pusateri, Cindy Miller, yours would probably say authentic, raw, real, self, or competitive, control freak, lunatic. How do you like me so far? My name is Cindy. That's you. That is the small town girl living in a look. I can't sing it, but that is you, my friend.
And God. You know what? I don't want to. I tried to act like I was cool. Every time I've tried to act like I'm Miss Priss, I spill crap all over me, or I trip and fall. I mean, again, I was at this Hy-Vee Classic one time, and I teed off, and I was watching my drive, and I tripped and fell over the flower pot on the first tee. Everybody cracked up. Alan still mocks me out to this day. I can't act like I have class because I just fall over myself. So I quit trying.
Well, don't quit helping people to achieve their dreams and be better people and to achieve extraordinary things that they didn't know what was with them. Keep helping them plant the seed or to put this. You're like another form of sunlight. You're not just the sun in the solar system here. You are sunlight, Cindy Miller. I can't thank you enough for knowing you. You've always been there when the times we laughed together. We've been in the boardrooms together. We've been in conference rooms together. We've been on the range together. I consider you, I'm blessed, one of my dearest friends, and I just want to wish you the very best and keep changing people's lives. You're doing amazing things. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Leo. Love you.
Talk to you soon. Thank you.